the things that came up, one particular principal actually said, we're going to build something. I want something that's going to be here in 30 years, not something that is going to just be here for a little while and go away. So, and meanwhile, we've had a change in leadership in the school district, luckily unbelievably supportive of where we're headed, but didn't have to happen. Could have had a superintendent who was less excited about this. But we have one that's very excited. We actually just had a change at the Arts Council. There's a new executive director there. So despite all of this change, because it's a community voice, there's the more likely possibility of it being sustained. Because even when there's change in one group, the other groups can keep holding our vision going forward. We just want to clarify what some of the roles are that we do, that each group has. So they provide a district arts expert, which is what my position is in the Hartford Public School District. Financial commitment. The school district, we did actually look at how we were going to fund a lot of the work we're doing, and the school district did come forward as one of our major funders. I facilitate communication with the schools, and there is participation on both the advisory council and the governance board by all levels from the school district, which is terrific. And the Arts Council, which is actually where Jacqueline's office is, they are providing office space, and they're allowing us to use their 501c3. They're literally our fiscal agent at this point, and they are also participating in the governance of the direction of our system. And then, of course, the community is important. The students and families, the students are really who we're most service to, but ultimately also the families, and it outreaches into the community. And this is when we talk about what do we do. So what is the program components? We have this wonderful system approach, but what are we going to deliver? And it's really important to understand that, again, this is a mix of all three. In how we started to outlay what we were going to do, we were never saying that one was more important over another, because we believed that when all three were delivered was when the maximum impact was going to happen on the students. In-school arts instruction, arts integration, and how to school town arts program. And this is our very aggressive growth model. So and we're on target. In 2010, we decided to do arts integration across the school instead. We were thinking, should we do all 4th grade, all across the district, and then phase in grade by grade, or should we phase in a building, and then do it in that way? And the discussion, the conclusion was that we should do it at a building level so it can build culture. So we started with 6 schools and we're talking in the pre-K to 8 school model that we have, and we have about 25 of those. So we knew we couldn't do 25 in the first year. We knew the arts community couldn't sustain 25 in the first year, so we started with 6. We began designing, and we started with arts integration because we knew we already had resources there and we knew we could measure it. So we started designing our support of the in-school arts, and we're ahead of schedule with our out-of-school time plan. This is a definition of arts integration that the group, the task force, and the steering committee really landed on, referring to the effort to build a set of relationships between learning in the arts and learning in the other skills and subjects. So basically, not just using the art form to teach, which is more in the alignment area, but actually where learning is happening in the art form and like in social studies or in literacy at the same time, which is the deepest, right? But we did say one of our most important principles, which I forgot to mention a long time ago, was equity and access for all. We wanted every student in Hartford to be benefited by this vision for arts education. So we knew we had to design something that all students could participate in, and we actually got this from Big Thought in Dallas, this idea of access, alignment, and integration. So we want to get them all up on the continuum, at least at access, and then we want to do professional development all around to try to move everybody in the direction of integration where we'll get the biggest bang for our buck. And in terms of in-school arts instruction, it's very important. Our arts educators in the school district were really afraid. They didn't know, what does this mean, all this arts integration? You're talking about community arts providers coming in and delivering. Are you trying to replace us? And we said, no, it was never, ever, ever, ever the intent to replace. In fact, it was always intended to support and reinforce, and eventually to expand the work that they're doing, teaching the art form in the schools. So we always like to say it's in addition to arts integration, not instead of. And another key commitment of Hartford Performs, as you'll see here, is across all 4 art forms. Currently, as is the national trend, predominantly you will have music and visual art teachers and training happening in the schools. We actually now have 6 theater teachers in Hartford, and we have 2 certified dance teachers in our schools in Hartford. But our vision is that all of our students receive training and learning around all 4. And then out-of-school time arts programming. This one is probably one of the biggest nuts to crack, because there's so much, obviously, so many different times and so many different opportunities. But we would love the sort of vision, without yet a plan, is that we are offering all 4 art forms in all areas of the city for students, and finding a way to communicate those offerings. I think that's one thing we've noticed, is that there already are, dance classes happening at a local Y with a dance artist who's working in there. But a lot of the parents and the families that live in that area don't even know that it exists or that it's an alternative. So one of the things we're starting is an asset inventory, what's already happening after school, summers, weekends, and then where there are gaps, how do we start strategically, oh look, in this part of town, we have no music after school, after school experiences. We have all dance or theater or something, so how do we start, visual art, how do we start funneling, programming in that area? So that's sort of the big picture thinking, and we're, like I said, we're at the beginning stages of that, and we're imagining 10 years out and that's actually one of the areas where we have the biggest funding growth, because that's an area currently not really funded. In some ways it is, but measurement was really important. I'm sure if anyone in here has ever written a grant, you have to talk about your evaluation. How do you know that you succeeded at what you did? And we knew this was really important to the school district, and it was also important to us, and to learn how to get better at what we're doing. And we were going to measure not just the student achievement, which was important. We wanted that 29% students reading at grade 3 to rise, right? But also, how are we doing? The design of our system. How is it working? So we have a wonderful relationship with PCG, which we went through an RFP process, and they were selected and hired to work for Hartford Performs for 3 years to do a 3-year longitudinal study, which is currently underway, and we already have our baseline report. And they're actually coming the week after next to do some observations and some focus groups, and to administer some student surveys, which we're very excited about. And then just leaving you with some teacher reflections from last year, talking about just from one particular school, a couple of the programs, and these are classroom teachers. All the arts integration programs are driven into the classroom, not the art or the music class, but into the regular reading, literacy, those other classes. Great work here. And these are beautiful pictures showing our students engaging in the arts in lots of different ways. And this one is professional development. We do rigorous professional development in around arts integration for the teachers in the schools that we're working with. And here are some key points that were very important to the original groups that were planning. I love dynamic city filled with academically rich, well-prepared students that have experienced a life where arts are integral. I mean, this was a statement that somebody made in one of our focus groups that we were having. This is what's important to us. So we just compiled them and put them up here, so you know that the legs on which Hartford Performs stands. So you have just a big picture understanding of the funding to date. When we began, you're probably thinking, how did you pay up for all of this? When we began the work, Prudential Foundation, who's been amazing for us this whole time, they actually sponsored the consultant to begin the facilitation process and that trip to Dallas where 11 people went. And they helped us with beginning in our 5 demonstration pilots that first year with $50,000. They were so happy with what we showed them that they gave us another $50,000 the next year, and presented all of our demonstration pilot results and stuff. And so they actually said, we'll take a chance, and they gave us $200,000 for the first year, which was not this school year but last school year. And we showed them our multi-year plan, and they were very pleased with it. And it was for the first year was delivering the arts integration model in 6 schools, and then simultaneously building out the in-school and the out-of-school planning. And then this last summer, we went before the Board of Ed because we told them, we said, in our plan, it said the first year we were going to ask you for $10 a student, but next year we're going to ask you for $20 a student, because that's what they do in Dallas. We have a precedent. Yes, thank you. We have a precedent, and it was effective there. Look how great they're doing. So you should do this, and you should do it for 3 years, because we have a 3-year study. And why would we want to invest in this arts integration, and then next year the money disappears, and yet we spent $75,000 a year to have this 3-year study done. And that was, so we're leveraging things with all of these funders and organizations, and so they said, yes, we'll do that. So we are in our first year of 3 years. And I say this to all of you because that's funding that's allocated from the school district, from a stream of funding that comes to them called the Title I funds, and it's specifically for the arts integration component. So what this RFQ is about and what all this is, that's where the funding is that comes to pay for it. And it's here this year, and guaranteed the next 2 years, and our vision is that it's an ongoing part of the fabric of Hartford. In addition, Prudential continued their funding, and they have actually invited us to put forth a larger multi-year ask. And just quickly, this is our estimate of what it would take to deliver all of these things, at full scale for 23,000 students, meaning $152. And then that doesn't mean all of the leveraged, that doesn't include all of the leveraged stuff from like your time right now is, not paid. You're kind of coming in interested and wanting to hear more. So there's a lot of that where a lot of people are leveraging different, different resources, not just human resources and time. Great. So that is the background and history of Hartford Performs.